feel free to throw them our way too.
Mm-hmm.
So to dive right in, our panelists today, this powerhouse group of ladies, why don't we start with Sandy Braun? Tell us how long you've been in the business and one fun fact about yourself.
Oh boy, okay. Licensed in 1989, long time. Started with Realty One, 17 years, 3 years. Howard Hanna, came here for 10 years. Happy to be here, and here's where I will stay. Fun fact about me.
Oh yeah.
Somebody else has to say. There's some things I would want to say. Fun fact about me, I'm like a real rock star, crazy woman, loves concerts and going to concerts.
Yes.
I love crazy hardcore rock and roll blues. I was like a punk rock princess back in the day, so.
I feel like I received that vibe from you.
Maybe I said that before.
I think I posted,
Oh,
you weren't a realtor.
I
what would
weren't a
you do?
realtor, I would be like Patty Smith.
Yes. Yes. I can see that.
That's quirky, that's me.
Love that. Okay, Karen, how long have you been in the business? Fun fact.
So I was licensed in 2017. I've been with this office for 2.5 years.
Love that. Fun fact.
Is that it?
Fun fact.
Fun fact. Oh, I'm fond of, I don't know. I have a degree in geology and I just love, when I go look at houses, I'm looking at the ground and groundwater and all that stuff, so.
That's awesome. That's really
I didn't
cool.
know that either.
I didn't know that either.
I missed that, Karen.
Really?
I have a degree in geology.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I gotta drop out of college making more money in sales. So,
Well,
I ended up going right into sales.
that's awesome. Perfect. All right, Melinda, how long have you been in real estate and a fun fact?
Okay, I've been in real estate. I measured by my daughter. So I've been in real estate over 25 years. And I was with Smythe Kramer my first 5 years. And then I was one of the 20 people when we started Keller Williams in Cleveland. So I've been with Keller Williams ever since and love Keller Williams. So fun fact is I am a long distance cyclist and I love, being an athlete.
Yeah, that's such cool. Yeah, I love that. We talked about that the first time we ever sat down together, and that's super cool. All right, ladies. So to dive right in, and feel free to popcorn around here. So how important, maybe start on a scale of 1 to 10, is lead generation for your business? No wrong answers, just looking for different ways people are lead generating.
Question. I'll go. I'm not like a diehard lead generator. I wish that I were more. I think I rely on a lot of repeat business because I've been doing this for so long. And that's really what I rely on, but I still nurture every single lead I get. And, I think back in the day, when I started, we didn't have internet, guys. We didn't have MLS. So we had to come up and do our own thing. And it was, back then it was postcards and, open houses. And I think in the beginning, I was really successful in doing open houses and what we used to call floor time. I think we still call that opportunity time here. And we still do that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think in the early days of my career, that's how I survived. And I did a lot of open houses and I thought that I found that I worked well with people on a one-on-one. I'm not good with big crowds of people, but I think that was part of my success, is just doing the open houses. And I grabbed on to 2 or 3 of those people coming through when it wasn't like it is now, because, you do an open house now and you got 27 people. It's hard to get rapport with everybody coming through. It's kind of hard to do that. So I was more successful with the small open houses and following up with those people and getting rapport. And I picked up buyers who then turned to sellers and repeat customers that way.
Yeah,
In the beginning.
it sounds like the fortune is in the follow-up
Yes.
with your business.
The
Yeah.
fortune is in the follow-up and just, and I made mistakes. I've sold properties, guys, and I not send gifts back in the day, 20 years ago. And, and I regret that terribly because in my earlier career, they didn't focus on that so much in the other brokerages I was with, but in, Keller Williams really focuses. So I think part of my later success has been because of Keller Williams and the philosophy and the teachings, and I love all that. So,
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Great,
I have
great.
a question. Sandy, would you do postcards now?
You know,
And that you know you did them.
I pick and choose.
Do you?
I do. Depends where my house is at and where I want to market. I just sold a little house down in Cleveland and I'm not gonna go over there. I just don't want to market myself there.
Mhm.
So I didn't do anything over there, but yeah, in the Sugar Valley, which is where I'm from.
Yeah.
I will market sold, just sold, just listed, but most of my stuff is social media marketing. I think that's where I focus a lot of my dollars on boosting posts and Instagram, and I think that's where the money is, contacts,
I wonder.
Yeah, thank
Can
you.
I ask you, when you say nurture your leads, in what way do you nurture your leads?
Well, it depends on what the lead is, but I think just being invisible. I've been doing this so long, my phone just rings now, guys. My phone just rings. Hey, Sandy, my sister, my brother, and that's how I get 90% of my business. And I think I really attribute that to being very present on Facebook and very, I'm present. I have 3,500 contacts in my Facebook account. And and I post videos, crazy things. And if anybody knows me, I'm always posting pretty radical stuff on my, and I get a lot of likes, comments, private comments, and, but I just engage.
You're not what we call a secret agent.
No, but I used to be 20 years ago. It was like that. I don't mean to monopolize.
Oh, yeah, and feel free if there's questions in the crowd, ask them at any time. So, Karen, so how important is lead generation in your business and what does that look like?
I think that's the most important thing in my business, and that's something that I learned years ago when I first started in sales, because I was required to have a pipeline. I had to report my pipeline. So I learned that if you didn't have anything in your pipeline, you weren't going to have any sales, and you had quotas that you had to meet and that sort of thing. So now it's just natural that I know that I have to always be lead generating in order to make sure that I don't have that lull. So I don't normally see those swings during the winter time and holidays. My business usually stays pretty much the same as a result.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. So in your world, what does lead generating look like?
For me, I do a lot of networking. So lead generation is not only staying in touch with the people that I know, but it's looking for opportunities to meet and connect with people that also see a lot of people, right? So like you have to go to, I just happened to me last week. I had to go to the Verizon store. Those Verizon desk people, they see a lot of people. So of course I got my card out, said, you may not be looking, but you probably know somebody that is. So would you give them my card? They said, absolutely. In fact, my brother's looking, I'll give it to him. Cool. That's lead generation too.
Yeah, that's so true. Love that. Perfect. Melinda, how important is lead generation for your business and what does it look like in your world?
Well, going back, thinking Sandy had me thinking back.
Yeah.
That's how I started lead generation. I basically put a plan together for people I knew, for sale by owners, and you named it. And then if I got a listing in an area, I would take my daughter in the wagon around the neighborhood, and I'd knock on all the doors, and I'd introduce myself and let them know I have a new listing in the area. If they know anybody that needs help with real estate. And I ended up, I can tell you, there's one area that I just sold a house for the third time. It was the same house I sold for the third time. And it was the 7th time I had helped that lady. So she bought it from me 15 years ago. I've sold 32 homes in those 3 streets, just from that, going around the wagon and introducing myself when I first started in the business. So everything works. I can remember for sale by owners at the time. I mean, they used to be in the plain dealer. I'd take the one-liners and we weren't even using, cell phones or computers. So I had this index, I bought a pack of index cards at Office Max and I put it in one of those little containers and I had it by city. And I'd always be working 6 to 10 FSBOs in maybe 7 cities. And then I'd keep track just of when I talked to them. I'd go visit them on Sundays at their open house when they would be getting weak because nobody came through or, they were, wasn't happening. And I would just show up with something of value for them. I wanted to bring this to you. I thought it might be helpful. Hey, by the way, I can be a resource if you have any questions. So I got a lot of for sale by owners that way. That's kind of got my start, for sale by owners and knocking on doors. So I decided that that wasn't that fun. I wanted to figure out a better way. So I started going to cities, and I found in Richmond Heights, they were putting a street in, and I was all excited, you know, want to talk to the city. And then they told me who the builders were, and then I started stalking one of the builders, Larry Simon, Simcon Homes, and I must have called him. He finally said, "You don't need to call me anymore. You have the subdivision." And then I remember taking my daughter and I to out to Pancakes, but since then, I ended up like selling a lot of spec homes for them through the years. They relied on that. And then I was at a crossroads a few years later. It was about the third year in the business full time when another builder approached me because they wanted me to go to Solon, and the other builder, you know, I was actually referred to that builder, and I ended up being his exclusive rep for 20 years. So that worked out really well. But everything works. I mean, what I prefer now is to work with people that know me, like me, and trust me. It's a lot easier, you know. So I haven't been as present on Facebook. We're really putting together a plan. I've got my business plan done for 2022, but I'm now looking at my marketing plan for Facebook and Instagram, and it's going to be consistency. So that's what I'm really looking for on, you know, on Facebook, and that's what we're going to do in the future. But it's everything works, like Karen said. I mean, I remember waiting in a gas station line and having somebody come up in front of me. I was buying ginger ale for my daughter. She didn't feel good, and we were on our way to church. And he grabbed the newspaper and he took all of it and he threw the rest of it out, and there was the real estate section. He was like handing his money for her. I said, are you needing any help with real estate? He says, oh, you know, I'm getting ready to move down to Florida and I'm gonna have to sell my place. I said, oh, where do you live? And he told me, and he was a neighbor of mine, like in Aberdeen, in the next community. So anyway, he invited me to the company on Monday. I had no idea who he was. Took Emily with me. She was my little sales tool back then. And found out he was the president of the company. I had the listing within 2 weeks, and it was like a $450,000 house. So I think you can be anywhere. You can just be present. You can always turn it off. Just be yourself, be authentic. I mean, when you're in the groups that you belong to, or if you're a church, or if you're any of the community, once people get to know you and they know who you are, that's really what I find at this point in my life. I really enjoy the referrals. I enjoy the phone ringing, like Sandy said. We do events now. We do a minimum of 4 client events a year. So the client events, we just did one that we had to reschedule because of rain, and I didn't know how it was going to go. It was like, this is our 5th year we've done consistent events, and we had such a turnout. We condensed it to 2 hours. We used to go there like at 11 in the morning and set a huge thing up, and then they'd go to the pumpkin patch, and we'd have a lunch for them, and we wouldn't get out of there till 5. Well, I said this year, because of what's going on, we're going to go 12 to 2. Come get your wristbands. We'll pay your admission. It was unbelievable. And I didn't even have to make calls this time. So now when you put the invites out, you know, people are used to it. You kind of build up the community. So it's very important. That's how I started in the business, was focusing on lead generation, you know, how you're going to make it happen. And then, you know, you can just go from there.
Yeah, one thing I think I heard a few different times without actually hearing the words is just come from contribution.
Absolutely.
So bring value to the people you're lead generating to. Don't just call them and ask for the sale, but bring them a piece of value, bring them anything kind of that is helpful. I think we've talked about this so many times. We should be called problem solvers, not realtors. So
exactly. And when you come from contribution, it's a whole different. You're in a different league, because everybody else was trying to list their house, and I never went to try to list any Fismo's houses. I just wanted to invest in the relationship and bring value, you know, and come from contribution, like you said. Didn't expect anything, but boy, it was nice when you were there, and you know, they're like, you know what, we're ready. And I always had my paperwork ready. Back then, we just used the paperwork. We didn't have our iPads.
Yeah. So on that note, that's like a perfect segue into the next question. So a few people here said they're here because they've worked with buyers in the past. They're looking to get more listings. So on that note, how do you specifically look for listings in your business? How do you lead generate for listings?
Good name.
Well, you have to ask for it. I mean, you ask, you tell people I'm looking for listings. I say that more than, I don't know that I ever say I'm looking for buyers unless I have a listing that I'm
Yeah.
trying to sell.
Yeah.
But I specifically say I'm looking for listings. The industry right now is short on listings. There are so many buyers out there, and just tell that story everywhere you go. And, you know, people remember you're in real estate, they probably ask you about it. How's the market? Just keep telling them you're
I
looking
get
for
that.
listings.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's interesting, Karen, because I did an email this year for the first time ever. My coach challenged me and I could not believe the response. And my subject was, I could use your help.
Yep.
And then I basically asked for listings and
And
got them.
people love to help, don't
Yes,
they?
they do. They
Yeah.
want to help you.
Melinda,
That's
just
a
for,
great
just
way
for
to-
everyone in the room, tell us more about that email. So you sent an email to your entire database.
Yes,
The subject line said, I could use your help.
yes.
And the body of the email, tell us a little bit more about that.
The body of the email, okay, let's see. I didn't write it, but I got it from my coach, but it's basically, the gist of it was, you know, the real estate market is, you know, very active. We have a real shortage of inventory. You know, like historically, I said something like in my years in the business, this is, you know, one of the most extreme markets I've seen for shortage of inventory. And I really need your help. So I'm reaching out to you to think of who you know in your family and friends that need to make a move this year or need to list their home. It was a very simple, wasn't a long letter, but boy, that email, it was a powerful result. And I had Ken use it as well, and he got a couple listings right away out of it.
Wow, okay, so the responses, were they very much, oh my gosh, tell me more about that, or was it just, I have a house to sell for you?
A couple of them where I have a house to sell, a couple of them where I know my friend's gonna be moving. I mean, it was leads and it was everything.
Do you think it could work with texting or phone calls that way too?
Oh, absolutely. Could work with anything.
Yeah,
I just did it as an email test to get it to the most people.
sure, sure. That's crazy. That's kind of an aha for us, right? Sometimes we can overcomplicate things when really all you have to say is, we're looking for listings.
Yes.
That's great. Sandy, do I dare ask,
What?
how do you lead generate your listings?
Well, different ways. I mean, I've done different things through the years, but, you know, going back to the Bold, when I took Bold, I did do the Bold 100 and I went to Drug Mart, with all my business cards, and I walked through Drug Mart, handing out my card to everybody I saw at Drug Mart, in front of John Eagle, or, you know, and I just said, hey, I'm in a contest. And I have to pass out 100 business cards to people today. Would you take my business card? I'm a real estate agent. Most of them took it. Some of them I found on the ground, you know. But I did get a call to list a house out of that, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, a lady called me and it was a $400,000 listing. And she said, hey, this is so-and-so, I'm calling you because I met you 3 months ago in a drug mart. I go, really? Oh my gosh. So she said, you know what? And I thought about it. She's like, I kept your card because if there was an agent that's bold enough to do that, I want her as my listing agent. So that was pretty powerful. So, you know, there are so many things like that that I've done. This last listing I got was a $750,000 listing that's now under contract. Was a referral from a cleaning woman.
Wow.
She is a cleaning woman that I refer. She and I, in fact, she was also a caterer. She catered my daughter's graduation party, and I've kept in touch with her. I refer her to everybody. She brings me a little plate of cookies every Christmas. And I got a call from a gentleman who said, so I got it. Who said, hey, is this it? Yeah. Hey, somebody referred you, my cleaning woman. I want you to come over and take a look at my house. You want to sell? And I was there in 2 weeks. I listed it $750 and it's under contract.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Who, just curious, who here has read the MREA? Who knows what the MREA is? The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, any hands, couple? Does anyone know from who's read the book, how many contacts do you need to put in your database a day if you want to become a millionaire real estate agent? Does anyone know the number? Five.
No, it's 10.
Five
thought it was 10.
contacts a day. So does anyone in the room know what a bold 100 is that Sandy was talking about? What is that, Denise?
Where you give out your information and also receive their information in the day.
So yeah, collecting 100 person's information one day, adding them to your database. So how often do they recommend you to do a bold 100, Denise?
More
So,
often than we do.
once a quarter.
I think.
Once a quarter. Yeah, so if you maintain an average of 5 contacts in your database every single day, Monday through Friday, every single day. Every single day, I don't think I have to say it again, every single day, 5 people every single day, and do a bold 100 once a quarter. Does anyone know how many contacts it is to 1 referral in your database? I know someone in this room knows.
That was 100.
6, so,
6, man, it was really good one.
yeah, so.
Yes, we are. I got kicked out of Beechwood Place during a bowling.
You did?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Soliciting in.
Well, I said to him, look, you should be glad I'm doing cards and not my body. It'd be great. I'm like, do you know who I am? He goes, I don't really care.
Who has a calculator that you can pull out for me, cell phone calculator? Okay, so if we, for every 6 contacts, we get 1 sale. How many referrals or how many sales would you close if you had 12 contacts? How about 24? How about 100?
That's around 16.
25.
Are we gonna be specific?
Is that math?
No.
I don't think
It was
that's right.
16.6.
So how many of you know 100 people? 100 people? How many of you have a place to hold your contacts or hold your database? How many of you have resources to touch your database? Are we doing that? How many of us want 17 sales a year just from housing a database? I do. That's for sure. Sorry I hijacked you ladies. I just always love doing that exercise. So now that we talked about lead generating for listings, let's talk about buyers, because buyers make the world go round. Of course they do. So how do we lead generate for buyers? Is that any different than lead generating for listings? Tell me what that looks like.
It's pretty much the same, isn't it? Just,
The same?
I mean, you know, I'm always posting on Facebook, same thing,
Open houses.
open houses, you know, I get constant referrals from people that I've sold to, you know, the market's hot for sellers, obviously for buyers. I know it's a little different today for buyers because they're kind of relaxed a little bit because they don't want to get in this market, right? Is that what you're finding a little bit? Or are they jumping in still?
Does anybody else in the room have buyer exhaustion? Any buyers that are exhausted? Anyone having conversations around that with their buyers right now?
Listen, you only gotta work with buyers from the West Coast. It makes it real easy. 'Cause
Oh,
they sell
yeah.
a $2 million house in California and they come here and they think they're rich.
Oh, yeah.
I-
Ain't that the truth?
That is true.
Karen, do you have a script that you're using with your buyers right now that have kind of felt exhausted this past year?
I wouldn't call it a script, but it's pretty much, I just try to, I always want to have a buyer consultation. For number 1, for safety, but number 2, communication is so very, very important. And you don't know, don't assume they know anything.
Mm.
And tell them that. I'm just gonna assume you don't know. So I may be telling you stuff you already know, but here's what the market's like. This is what could happen. This is what people are doing to win offers.
Mm.
You know, I'm being as open and honest with them up front because we need to know what their motivation is. If they can't handle being in a multiple offer situation, and I tell them that, this might not be the right time to buy.
Mm. Mm.
So sometimes I talk people out of buying a house right now.
I do too. I do too.
Right, because we're realtors for life, right? Not just for a transaction. So that's
Right.
pretty powerful.
Yeah,
Say, like, hey, it might not be in your best interest.
right.
And so if you're looking for a deal, might not be the market for you.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Melinda, how about you? Do you specifically do anything to lead generate for buyers in a different way?
Well, you know, there's so many things you can do for buyers. I mean, you know, there's things that are out there, like we've never done first-time buyer seminars in a regular normal market. Those are really very, I know, very successful. I've had a lot of people do first-time buyer seminars. Just really investing in the relationships in the database, you know, you'll end up selling their sons, their daughters. It's really a beautiful thing. So I just keep in touch with them. And then the next thing I know, I'm working with, you know, we're working with the son, you know, Ken will have them out as a buyer, showing them. So I guess other than open houses, we just did an open house, and Beth, who's new on our team, she picked up like gosh, I think she picked up 6 people she's working with right now. The next day, we had a listing appointment that she's gonna get from the open house.
Love that.
Yes, so she's staying in touch and added them to her database. She asked him, she had the dialogue with him, asked him if it was okay to add him to the database and, you know, that she would like to be able to set them up on a search in real time so that they get the information in real time. And also call them when they know of another one coming on the market. We happen to have another one coming on our team in the next month. Ken has one on the same street. So we have all those people waiting until that other one, because, you know, that one's sold right away. So I think just we're really working around the listing too, you can get buyers.
Something I did several times through, I like LinkedIn a lot, so I am very passionate about veterans and school teachers. So I said, one time I said, I'll cover your admin fee, which is our admin fee is $200, or I'll pay for a home warranty. People remember that and they appreciate that. So that's, find what you're passionate about and give back in that area, and you'll be surprised how many new followers you get, you know, people that might be interested.
Love that. So the next question is always one of my favorites for every panel we hold. So if you had to start over in real estate, say you get your license tomorrow, in this market right now, how would you get your first sale? How do you get business if you were to start over tomorrow?
I think, you know, God, what I know now, what I knew then, wow.
I wouldn't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to talk to people you know.
I would be passing my card out more.
Yeah,
More,
just go for it.
and like you guys said, the gas stations and whatnot, and, you
You
know,
have support.
what's that?
You have support.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to have gotta have a conversation before you go. I mean, I found myself waiting for, you know, going and meet from the meat department. Hey, while you're waiting, here's my card. You know, anybody, you can get silly and goofy. I mean, you gotta make a connection with these people. Anywhere you go, I stuck them in the gas station pumps. Not that I've gotten anything, but it's just, you can't be afraid to really get out there and just, you know, ask for the business, you know?
People expect now, I don't know if you know the statistics, but people change jobs like every 2 to 5 years now. It's not like you have the same job for 15 years anymore. People, it's almost expected because you're bettering yourself each time. So if you're afraid to call people up and say, hey, I've changed careers and I have a real estate license now, you're only shooting yourself in the foot because they might need your help and you just opted not to tell them because you thought they were going to be judgmental. Just tell them.
We haven't talked really about buying leads, and I don't know if you guys buy leads. But
I did.
I have started doing that, called Z Buyer. Have you heard of Z Buyer? So I started doing that, and I've called a few. A lot of them are trash, it's junk, but I picked up a few, you know, and it's how you handle the call and the conversation. It's the art in the conversation. You can't just be a robot, you know, and my line is, you know, I call them, they answer the phone. I say, hi, is this so-and-so? John, yes, it is. Hey, John, it's Sandy Braun. I just received a notification and I'm following up. I just want to make sure that you have all the information that you need. Perhaps you're looking to buy or sell real estate right now. Is that in fact the case? Because usually they clicked on something and then you're capturing that lead. A lot of times, like, oh no, I just clicked on something. You know, but I have the ability to keep them on the phone for a little while, and I just chat with them, and then at the end of the day, I've got everything I need, and working with them that way. But if you are new in this business right now, maybe that's a way to go. I've also tried some other thing called realtynet.com. They called me and they said I've got 30 days free, and then I'll be charged for the zip code. So I have it written in my book after 29 days, call and cancel, because I've got the 30 days free. And I've got a couple buyers and sellers that I've talked to on the phone. So I've been doing that in the last 2-3 months as well.
I got started buying leads. Absolutely. You can find lead sources that you don't have to pay up front. You pay
Yes.
like a commission, you know, part of the commission to them if you get the deal. Op City's a great one.
I don't do that a lot though. I've just started to try. I just pick up a buyer's agent. I need to have some business. So, you know, but primarily, and I think the most important thing for me in my experience, you know, I really service the client. I tell them I will treat them like my family member. I don't look at the paycheck. And when I take them out and show them property as a buyer's agent, they know that I sincerely am in their corner. And I tell them, you know, I find flaws with the house and say, you know, this is overpriced. You have to earn their trust. And I think in the years that I've been doing the business, they know that about me. And so that's why I'm referred, probably the same way you. I just don't look at the paycheck. I never make it feel like I'm getting the paycheck, ever. They can see through that.
So Melinda, if you were brand new tomorrow, what would you do to get business?
I tell you what, I have so many things I would do. I would have hired a coach sooner. I would have hired an assistant sooner.
Yeah.
I would have, you know, I tried a lot of things, so I wasn't afraid to try. That's one thing. Failure was not an option when I entered the business. My daughter was young and I was going to make it happen. I was going to own my own home and have a quality life. So I basically got out there and people, you know what, the little rejection I got in the big picture, I learned how to manage it. I went to Tony Robbins class, and if you can manage rejection and frustration, you know, you can do anything in this business. So I would have definitely systematically kept a database from day one. I mean, there were people in my first, 2, 3, 4 years, I didn't even have in a database. You know, we have files and everything, but getting your database together from day one is probably the most important thing. You know, get 100 people in your database minimal. Start putting your own business directory together early on so that you can be a connector for your business owners. Because once you become the connector, it's amazing. I mean, I've sold homes, we've sold homes for sons and daughters of our contractors that they work with a lot of realtors, but they ask us to help them, just because we always say, hey, we'd love a reciprocal, business relationship where we can help each other. If you can send us a referral or two a year that closes, we'd be very grateful. So I would do that. I would reach out. I would make a business directory early so that I could come from contribution early for my clients. I would have gotten help earlier when I was working new construction because I was doing it myself. And again, I had part-time admins. I would have had a full-time person. But in general, my best advice about real estate is fail forward. Learn from your mistakes and just keep going forward, because if you take action in this business, you will get results.
One powerful thing I think we haven't covered is, Karen, I know you and I have talked about this a lot. So how important is it to know the personality type of the person you're working with?
Really important.
So a lot of our conversation today has been talking about relationships and nurturing. What happens if you're meeting with someone, a high D, or someone that doesn't care about the warm fuzzies or the pleasantries? How important is it for that person to be a market expert? So in the past 7 days in our local MLS, does anybody know how many houses were just listed? What if someone called you on the phone and said, how's the market? And you say, it's great. And they're like, what does that mean? You're like, oh, well, stuff's moving. And they're like, what does that mean? So I think it's just as important to be your local expert. So I would challenge you to tell this story. So in the past 7 days in our local MLS, there's been 1,333 houses listed. Does anyone know in comparison what that looked like this time last year? Does anyone have any guesses? Is it lower or higher?
I think it's higher.
Higher? Yeah, it's up 20% from this time last year. So how powerful would it be to call your buyer that looked for 6 months last year that's now exhausted and say, I know you're tired. There's 20% more houses on the market this month than there were this time last year. Are you ready to get back out there? We have 20% more chances. I probably respond pretty well. This is an interesting one. In the past 7 days in our local MLS, can anybody guess what this looks like? A price decrease in our local MLS?
A percentage?
How many
Oh,
numbers?
how many? Oh, that'll be a lot.
What's a lot? Just a guess.
100.
100, 100?
What's our local, is it the entire MLS?
Yeah, our
Oh,
local,
oh, probably more like 500,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or higher.
No way.
Wow.
Wow, yeah, I believe that.
what would it look like if you called all of your buyers or your exhausted buyers and said, hey, people are noticing that they are pricing too high. Things are sitting.
Mhm,
They're lowering the price. We have room to negotiate.
mhm.
Does anyone want to know what this looked like this time last year? Does anyone have a guess? Way lower.
Yeah.
11. Would you be the market expert if you made some calls or put this on Facebook, did a video, made a graphic? This time this year, there's 805 price decreases. This time last year, there was 11. And then just ask, what do you think that means? Mr. and Mrs. Consumer, Mr. and Mr. Consumer.
Time to shop for a house.
Temporary off market, what do we think? 62.
It's not-
What was it this time last year? And then why is this number so important? Why is the sold still important? 1,573 houses in the past 7 days have sold. Why is that important? Why is that important to the story?
Things are still moving.
Okay, Mrs. Seller, market's definitely shifting, and it's a good thing. We don't see a drastic drop. We see a balancing out. That's great for you, Mrs. Seller, and you know why? Because it means more buyers are now willing to come look at your house because they know that the listings that are coming on market are gonna be more realistic. Do you have an expert opinion to tell you what your house is worth to get it sold quickly in this market where we're now seeing more price decreases than ever, more houses getting taken off the market than ever? Mrs. Seller, are you ready to have that conversation about what we could do for your house? So when someone mentioned telling the story, this is important. This is super important. Is there any other kind of statistics that you think might be important to tell this story or be the local market expert? There's one that I always find super, super interesting. Days on market. Any guesses? Last 7 days in our market? 60? Any other guesses? Why is this important? Hey Denise, I saw your house just expired in MLS. What was the reason for that?
It didn't sell.
Oh, it didn't sell? Why do you think that is?
Not a lot of showing.
Not a lot of showings. That's interesting. What do you think caused not a lot of showings?
Maybe my realtor wasn't doing a good job.
Oh, your realtor wasn't doing a good job?
Property.
Advertising property. Oh, that's interesting. What do you think they could have done differently?
When they held an open house.
Oh, no, no.
Yeah, they could price it right.
Could price it right and staged it properly, staged it properly.
Yeah.
Denise, it's so funny that you said that they could have been doing those things because I'm an expert in doing open houses. And I'm an expert in pricing properties the second time to sell. And I'm an expert in marketing. You want to get together and talk about how I can sell your house the first time around for the most money possible?
Absolutely.
It's important. Super, super important. I'm a very relationship-based person, if you know me in the room, but I'm also an incredibly high D. So I like to get to the point. I like to hear the facts. I like to know all of the things that go into a sale. That's important. If I had to get in the business tomorrow, the first thing I would do is check that every single day. The first thing I would do is call everybody I knew and tell them that story every single day. And you have to pick up the phone to do that, or do a video to do that, or send a text to do that. Last question I want to end with, and then we'll open up for question and answers. And this is always one of my favorites too. How do you, and in Keller Williams, we call them raving fans. How do you create raving fans? In other news or other way to say that, how do you get referrals? So a raving fan is someone that if they were at Bob Evans and heard someone across the way say, I think I might sell my house, a raving fan would get up out of the booth, leave their breakfast, their sunshine skillet behind, and go say, you have to call my realtor. They changed my life. They were the best thing that's ever happened to me. If you've ever thought about selling real estate, you and everyone that you should know my realtor. That's a raving fan. So how do we create those? In your business, ladies, Karen, Sandy, Melinda, how do you create raving fans? How do you get referral business?
You have to know, every happy moment that happens in the transaction when you're working with them, whether it's when you first put it on the market and the first day you have 4 showings. You have to send them a congratulatory note. You gotta let them know somehow that that was a success. So every single success opportunity, you ask them for a referral.
Love that. Yeah, love that. I once heard, you don't ask for the review at the end of the transaction when they've closed on their house and they're busy moving and their friends and family want to come. You ask for the referral halfway through the transaction when you sign the removal of contingencies and say, congratulations, we're almost there. While you have a moment, can you give me a referral and also leave me a review? Love that, Karen. How else do we create raving fans?
Be a resource, not just for real estate. Make sure you put yourself out there. You make sure you have your list of people that can help in areas that a homeowner would need help. I even have attorneys and accountants on my list. I have all of that stuff.
Yeah, you have to have venues.
Love that. How
Help
else?
them fix the house, get it ready. Wow them though with those moments is very powerful, you know, so when you list it, do something special. You
Yeah,
know, have something delivered to them special.
yeah.
When they're moving in, make sure that you have dinner delivered for them the day they're moving in. What else do we do? Oh, when we list, you know, it's showtime, you know, and
Yes.
when the sign's delivered, you can do a little popcorn container with a little popcorn. It's showtime, you know, we're on the market.
That's
You know,
cute.
just the
I
little
love that.
things
Love
that you
that.
could do to have them have a very special experience, you know, and just let them know you care along the way. Like Karen
Yes.
said, you're their trusted advisor. You're not just a realtor, you're there to help them. If you send a painter in that house, you know that painter has the same standard as you do, you know. and your
What
team.
are some, like at the top of everyone's head, this is popcorn for everybody in the room, what are some brands that stick out to you in terms of like amazing customer service?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A,
Nordstrom,
Nordstrom. How about Disney,
yes,
Starbucks, Apple,
Ritz,
Ritz? What are some of those things that those companies do that make you feel like they have good customer service? One of mine is, I know what I'm gonna get every time I go there. So be consistent in the transaction. What are some of the things that they do?
They have clear communication.
They smile.
What else?
I think for Starbucks, like they always like seem like they genuinely care. Like they're always asking you like how your day is going and things like that. Like they put effort, I think, into the relationship.
Love that. What else?
They ask,
They
how am I
greet you.
doing?
They greet you by your name.
Greet you by their name, yeah.
True.
Saying somebody's name is a game changer, you know.
What else? Maybe one or two things. One or two more things. Have you ever had the best customer service in your life? What'd that look like?
I think they like their job, so that matters.
KeyBank. I switched from Fifth Third to KeyBank because I had stellar customer service. I love it.
What'd they do?
I walked in the door, the girl got up from out of her desk and she greeted me and she said, hi Sandy, and said hello to my mother and said, how's your day? What can we do for you today? I was like, wow, she remembers my name. I was so impressed.
Why is this important?
Makes them feel important.
Repeat business. That's how you get repeat business.
they remember the experience.
So what if you put all of these things into a mission statement for you and your company, right? So I'm Janice Borders. I love to celebrate happy moments with you. I'm a resource for you in the transaction. My consistent and clear communication is sure to make your transaction go as smooth as possible. I care and I love helping people. Oh, so how are you putting that out there into the world? Where are you telling people that? Are you telling people that? Is it on social media? Is it on an email? Is it on a postcard? Is it at your church? Is it at your kid's school? At the bank? What does it look like? People want to do business with people they like, know, trust. If they don't know you, they can like you. It's the first step. If they don't trust you, get to know you. It's the first step. So raving fans, referrals, how important are they to your business up here, ladies? For everything?
It's how I survive.
Me as well.
Thrive on it, yeah, just repeat.
Yes.
Referrals, yeah, they love and trust and they call.
And it's such good business.
It is, it's great, it's like cream with the crop, man, that's what I get. I love it. I've reached it.
Love that.
Yes.
Want to open up, since you're the experts, I want to open up to question and answer from the crowd here. So if anyone has a question, please let's move forward. Ask our panelists some questions. I'm sure they're just well with knowledge, ready to share.
Melinda, I have a question for you. So you said when you started in your business, you went door knocking to neighborhoods. What did you do to consistently keep in touch with these people after that first encounter with them? Like to stay top of mind?
That particular neighborhood, I found out that they had a little newsletter, and it was a voluntary, if you wanted to be part of that, receiving the newsletter. So once I found that out, I sponsored the newsletter and I paid for it. So in turn, they put on your neighborhood real estate expert, Melinda Chamberlin. So I had that on there for years going, and they always invited us to, the ladies would get together for dinner and lunch every month. And Emily, and my daughter was really young, so they loved her and they would love, so we'd stop by probably at least once a quarter. I would stop by and just, meet the ladies that were running that and that knew everybody in the neighborhood. So that's how I started to break into the neighborhoods. And then other neighborhoods I'll sponsor, like if they're having a block party or something, I'll sponsor them to bring, whatever it is, I've done everything from the desserts to, sponsoring the hot dogs.
I will say one of the best experiences I had with the real estate agent is when I just bought my second home with my family. The realtor who sold me the home actually is my neighbor now. And when we moved in, we were pregnant, it was fall, and he had our lease rate for us when we moved in. And he knows I'm a realtor, but it was coming from contribution saying, hey, I loved working with you. Here's a flyer, here's a coupon to get your leads rate by a local company. And when I kind of started digging, I was like, wow, that's great that you do that for every house that you sell. He just made a deal with the local lawn care company and said, if I give you 12 transactions or 12 pieces of business a year, can you do it for half price? And they said, of course. So what usually would cost $200, it costs him $75, has a happy neighbor, happy customer. And part of the Keller Williams model is lead with revenue. So in terms of getting in touch with people in your neighborhood without spending money first, the best way to do it is knock on the door and say, Melinda, it was so nice to meet you. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Is it okay if I stay in touch with you?
And add you to my database in case you know, or when you know of people that are looking to buy or sell homes, because I'd love to be a resource.
Hey, is it okay if I call you in a couple months just to check in and see how things are going?
Absolutely.
Is it okay if I add you on Facebook?
Yes, Kate, that'd be great.
Is it okay if I start a Facebook group for your neighborhood if you don't have one, so I can provide some resources and sales and deals for you guys?
Oh, that would be great.
Also COVID, so please be careful, but just lead with revenue. Super, super important. You don't want to pay yourself out of the business. Happens. What other questions do we have for our panelists? Yeah.
So you had mentioned in the middle, I don't know your name, I'm sorry.
I'm Karen.
Yeah, so you had mentioned a lead source that they could take the money out of your commissions. And
Yeah.
I didn't, you kind of
They're
said.
called Op City. There's a few of them. One of them I think is Mojo. Op City is another one. Where you don't have to pay for it up front. You can create a relationship with them or an account, and once you sell the deal, then whatever percentage they require comes out of your commission and you get the rest.
Okay.
Another really popular one in our market is called Divvy,
Maybe is a good
D-I-V-V-Y.
one too, yeah.
We have a local Divvy expert in our market center that started her entire business using Divvy, and now she sells 8 million and has a team of her own. So it's pretty powerful how you get into business with people. It's creating a relationship, like Karen said. Those lead sources are always interesting too, since they don't require you to pay up front. They might send you some $45,000 houses, $70,000 houses, but once you close 1 or 2, they start sending you some pretty great properties. Yeah.
If you're a new agent, gosh, that experience is so valuable.
Mm.
I mean, the more people you talk to and get referrals from, or get a recommendation, you know, a review from them, and you share it with everybody. So
How do you
every little bit of
ladies collect
experience.
reviews? How do you get reviews on your transactions?
My transaction coordinator, is part of her last piece that she does with me. She sends the link and asks them to do a review.
Is that on Google, Facebook,
I think
Realtor.com?
it's Google,
Google.
yeah.
I email, I text, I do everything until they give me one. I don't give up until, I think I've had times when it took like 8 months to get a review, but
Yeah,
it's not that they're unhappy, they're just
busy, yeah.
They're busy, so you've got to stay on top of that.
The lead gen sources like City, don't they have to have a relationship with the brokerage in order for us? So is there a list that we potentially have through this office?
So through this office, we have use of Divvy and OpCity and referralrealtor.com. So yeah, we have at our KW office, we have specific requirements to get on that list of leads. So for example, we have to be in the coaching program, you have to close 3 transactions, that kind of thing. So your other local brokerages might have something like that. Here, we have the opportunity. Yeah.
What was the third one? Is it Divvy, City, and
Realtor.com has something called referral partner. It's through a brokerage, so you can't sign up as an agent, but you can sign up as a brokerage. What other questions?
All right, ladies. I want to know what your plan is, not that any of you are getting older, but have any of you thought about retirement and what that looks like? And what kind of income will come in after you stop day-to-day of selling houses?
Great question.
Mhm. I will never stop selling.
I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing.
I will never stop.
Personality is.
I have a plan. I have, collected Social Security. I'm gonna rent my current residence that I live in now, and I'm gonna get a trailer and a Winnebago thing and go travel and refer my business.
Hmm.
When I'm traveling, when I'm not, I'll be here. What I wanna do. I
If
want to
you-
hit the road.
If you are thinking about retirement in real estate and you're not sure how to do it and you have never read the Golden Handoff, come see me after the class and I'll get you a free copy for you to take home and read. The best book in terms of transitioning business. Has anyone read Golden Handoff up here?
I haven't read it, but I do have a plan. You know, I'm hiring talent around me to support the business, to help support it. I, like Sandy, I really enjoy it very much, so I'm actually planning it to stay in it very much like I am now, but, you know, down the road a little, maybe 10 years down the road, I would like to see doing it the 6 months of the busy part of the year and being somewhere else and having a team, you know,
Right.
keep everything going.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So, 'cause-
multiple baskets of income.
Yes.
That's important. I mean, because, so maybe I don't ever plan to fully retire, but maybe my body forces me to in some way. So I've got to have income coming in, and boy, we are in the best job to find ways to have alternate baskets of income,
Mhm.
whether it's rental properties or, you know, buying houses and fixing them up and selling them, profit share in your company. Gosh, yeah, the referral business alone,
Yeah.
you know, keep just saying, continue to give me your business. I can stay on top of it. I can
Yes.
follow up, and I can get somebody that will work really well with you,
Right.
that I trust.
Absolutely, I
So-
agree. It's the opportunities are endless, you know, because you have so many different things you can do. You don't have to just, you could can supplement what all you're doing.
Is that what you were looking for?
Sure. Someday I want to retire, right?
Yeah, I've always been a budgeting kind of person before I had money, and I was a waitress. I'd get tips and I had an envelope for every single bill. So I'd come home and I put money, and that's how I am now. I'm just looking for different baskets that I put money in, and I have goals for each one of those.
Here's some things I coach my agents on who are looking to exit the business. Here's the things that we talk about in terms of multiple streams of income. So anyone take a picture, happy to have that coaching call or consult with you, complimentary. Something I'm super passionate about, because I definitely don't want to work forever. Any other questions before we wrap up? Well done. Well, thanks, ladies.
Nice.
If you guys have any private questions for them after, I'm sure they'd love
Oh,
to
yeah,
talk to
sure.
you. Hi.
I'm sorry, I was just so loud in the office.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for coming. Appreciate you. And I know it's late on a Friday, so I'm surprised. We got a lot of people. Anyone online, Dara, that needs anything?
Not that I know of. You guys need anything? We're about to get off. Nope, we're good. Awesome. Thank you guys. See you guys later.